All right, welcome back, everyone. Today, we're going to be taking a deep dive into BIM.
BIM,
Yeah,
building information modeling,
that's right.
and how it's impacting small businesses in the U.S. construction industry,
Especially in the U.S.
especially in the U.S., that's right.
And we've got a lot of cool research papers and case studies and even some government reports to dig into.
Yeah, it's interesting because, when we think about BIM, right,
Yeah.
we've gone from, blueprints,
Blueprints.
yeah, and rolls of drawings,
Oh, yeah, it goes.
to a complete digital twin of a building.
A twin.
Yeah, and everyone has access to it, from the architect who's sketching it out to the electrician who's, wiring the outlets.
It's like having X-ray vision for a building.
That's a great way to put it.
Yeah, and some of this stuff, especially in these reports, honestly, is really eye-opening.
Yeah, it's true. And, BIM wasn't like an overnight success story.
Right.
In the U.S. especially, it was kind of a slow burn.
Really?
Yeah, a lot of firms held on to those traditional ways of doing things.
Yeah, I guess those rolls of drawings have a certain charm to them.
They do. They do.
But can you imagine trying to coordinate an entire team with those giant sheets of paper?
Oh, man, that's a nightmare.
Yeah. So what was the turning point?
Oh.
When did BIM really start to take off?
You know what they say? Money talks.
Money sucks.
And in this case, it was the government that really led the charge.
Really?
Yeah, back in 2006, the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, actually, they made BIM a requirement for all their contracts.
Wow.
And it was kind of like a light bulb went off for the industry.
Like if the government is demanding this
Yeah,
for big projects, we better learn how to use this.
exactly.
Okay, so did other government agencies follow suit?
They did. They did. A few years later, you had states like Texas and Wisconsin
Okay.
jumping on board, requiring BIM for public projects.
So it was spreading.
It was spreading, and by 2020, the research shows that almost every large architecture firm was using BIM.
Wow.
And what's really interesting is that almost a third of small firms had adopted it too.
That's huge.
It's a huge shift
Yeah.
in how things are done.
So BIM went from like niche to mainstream really quickly.
Pretty much. Yeah.
But as a small business owner, why should I care?
Well, let's think about the Harvey Milk Terminal 1 project
Okay.
at the San Francisco airport.
Okay.
They used BIM to coordinate teams that were working all over the place, making changes in real time.
Oh, wow.
And, it wasn't just about keeping things organized. It was about avoiding those costly back and forths and rework that can really eat into a project's budget.
Yeah, you don't want that.
No, you don't.
So it's like BIM is all about working smarter, not harder.
Exactly.
But is it really that much more efficient than doing things the old way?
Well, the numbers speak for themselves.
Okay.
We came across this case study from the Los Angeles Community College District,
Okay.
and they used BIM for a bunch of their construction and renovation projects, and they ended up saving a whopping $12 million.
$12 million.
$12 million.
Wow.
And on top of that, their labor costs dropped by 12%.
That's serious money.
Yeah, it is.
So are you saying that by using BIM, a small business could potentially save that kind of cash?
Well, it's not a magic bullet.
Right.
But BIM allows for precise quantity takeoffs and cost estimations.
Okay.
So you can get a much clearer picture of your project budget from the get-go.
I see.
And that can translate to some pretty significant savings down the line.
Yeah.
And it's not just about saving money. Think about how impressed clients are when you can show them a 3D model of their building before you even break ground.
Yeah, it's like giving them a virtual tour of their future space. That's got to be a game changer.
It is. It helps manage expectations, avoid misunderstandings, and ultimately you end up with happier clients.
Happier clients.
And happy clients lead to more referrals.
Well, business.
Exactly, which is gold for any small business.
For sure.
Plus, BIM isn't just a one-time thing.
Right.
You can use it to manage risk and improve safety throughout the entire project lifecycle.
Throughout the whole thing.
Yeah, you can even use it for facilities management long after construction is finished.
So it's not just a fancy 3D modeling tool, it's a powerful tool for managing the entire project.
The entire lifecycle, yeah.
Wow.
And the exciting thing is BIM software is becoming more and more accessible.
Really?
It's not just for those big firms anymore. There are options out there that are tailored for smaller businesses and budgets.
So you're saying that BIM is within reach?
Absolutely.
Okay, so
Yeah.
far BIM sounds amazing,
Yeah,
but I'm guessing it's not all sunshine and roses?
you're right.
There's got to be some challenges, especially for smaller firms.
There are some hurdles to overcome.
Like what?
Well, for instance, that initial investment in software training and hardware can be a lot to swallow, especially for a small business.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And finding people who are skilled in BIM can be a real challenge, especially for those specialized roles. And, we can't forget about like the human element.
Yeah, what do you mean?
You got folks, seasoned professionals who've been doing things a certain way for years. Uh-huh.
Change can be tough.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Some people might be thinking, why fix what's not broken?
Yeah, I can see how that resistance to change could be a big hurdle,
It is.
especially, when you're talking about new technology and potentially new ways of working.
Right.
But it's like you said earlier, the construction industry is changing.
It is.
And BIM is becoming the standard.
It's becoming the norm. Yeah.
So adapt or get left behind.
Pretty much.
Okay, so are there other challenges that we haven't talked about yet?
Yeah, there's some technical challenges too,
Like what?
like interoperability issues.
Okay, you're going to have to explain that one.
Sure.
What are interoperability issues?
Well, imagine you've got different software programs being used by the architects, the engineers, the contractors on a project.
Okay.
Sometimes these programs don't talk to each other very well.
Oh, no.
Yeah, and that can lead to, data getting lost or even like errors creeping in,
Yeah.
which can cause delays and cost overruns
So it's a communication breakdown. Exactly.
between the software programs.
Yeah, it can be a real headache.
And then there's the whole legal and contractual aspect of using BIM.
Right.
I imagine that could be pretty complex, especially for a small business that might not have a big legal team
It can be. It can be.
to help them navigate all that.
Yeah, navigating things like liability and intellectual property rights can be tricky.
Right,
But, it's not all doom and gloom.
right.
There are absolutely ways to overcome these challenges and successfully implement BIM.
Okay, so let's talk solutions.
Okay.
What advice would you give to a small business owner who's, maybe a little hesitant to take the BIM plunge?
Well, the first thing I'd say is you need a champion.
A champion.
Yeah, somebody within the company who really gets BIM
Okay.
and its potential, this person can be the driving voice behind its adoption,
Okay.
rallying the team, making sure everyone's on board.
They're like a BIM evangelist.
Exactly. I like that.
Spreading the good word.
Okay, so what else can small businesses do to set themselves up for success? Well, don't try to boil the ocean.
Don't try to boil the ocean.
Yeah, start with a pilot project.
Okay.
Something small and manageable.
Right.
This will let you get your feet wet.
Right.
Figure out your workflows. Iron out any kinks before you go all in.
That's smart.
Yeah.
What about training?
Training is key.
Okay.
Absolutely. You don't want to skimp on training.
Right.
It's essential to make sure your team, not only knows how to use the software,
Yeah.
but also understands the collaborative workflows and best practices for using BIM effectively.
So it's not just about clicking buttons.
No.
It's about understanding how BIM fits into the whole project.
The bigger picture, yeah.
Okay.
And that leads to another key strategy,
Which is
standardization.
standardization.
You need clear standards and protocols for how BIM is used within your company.
Okay.
This will ensure consistency across projects,
Okay.
reduce errors, and prevent those interoperability issues we talked about earlier.
Right. So it's like having a BIM rule book that everyone follows.
Exactly.
But rules are only as good as the communication,
Yeah,
right?
that's true.
How important is communication when it comes to BIM?
Oh, it's crucial.
Okay.
BIM is all about collaboration.
Right.
So you need to establish clear channels for communication and data exchange.
Okay.
Everyone needs to know who to contact with questions, how to access the latest project information, and what the protocols are for sharing BIM data.
Got it. So you got to be organized.
You got to be organized.
And everyone's got to be on the same page.
On the same page.
And it's not just set it and forget it, right?
No.
You have to constantly be evaluating how things are going.
You got regular performance evaluation is key.
Okay.
You need to track your progress,
Uh-huh.
measure your return on investment, and identify areas for improvement.
Okay.
Are you hitting your goals? Are there bottlenecks in your workflows? And are there, new technologies or best practices emerging that you can incorporate into your BIM strategy?
So you got to stay up to date.
Stay up to date. Yeah. The
Yeah.
industry's constantly evolving.
That makes sense.
Huh.
Okay. So you've got to be adaptable and willing to constantly learn and improve.
Exactly.
What about choosing the right software?
Ah, that's a big one.
Yeah, that seems like a big decision.
It is. There are a ton of BIM software options out there.
Right.
And it can be overwhelming.
Yeah.
So do your research.
Okay.
Think about your specific needs and budget.
Uh-huh.
And don't be afraid to ask for demos or trial periods before making a decision.
That's smart.
Yeah.
So shop around and find the BIM software that's the right fit for your business.
Exactly.
And remember, you're not in this alone.
That's right.
There's a whole ecosystem of support out there for small businesses.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The government's actually pushing BIM adoption in a big way,
Really?
especially for public projects.
Okay.
And there are industry organizations dedicated to providing training resources and best practice guidance,
That's great.
specifically tailored for smaller firms.
So there's help out there.
There's help out there.
It sounds like there's a lot of help available if you know where to look.
Yeah.
What's fascinating to me is how BIM seems to be leveling the playing field,
Right.
allowing smaller firms to compete with those big companies.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is that something you're seeing?
We're already seeing it.
Really?
Yeah, smaller firms are leveraging BIM to win those larger, more complex projects that they might not have even been considered for in the past. So it's like they've unlocked a whole new level of capability.
That's pretty exciting.
Yeah.
So as BIM technology continues to evolve,
Right.
what do you think the future holds for small businesses in the construction industry?
Well, if we look at like the big picture,
Yeah.
I think we're going to see this continued shift towards smaller, more agile firms
Okay.
that are armed with these powerful BIM tools and expertise, allowing them to take on these increasingly larger roles in the industry.
So it's like they're becoming the David to the
Yeah.
Goliath.
That's a great way to put it.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a really fascinating time to be in construction.
I'm hearing a lot of optimism. So the big takeaway for you, our listeners, is this BIM isn't just a passing trend.
No,
It's the future of construction.
it is.
And it's not just for those big firms anymore.
Right.
Be informed.
Be informed.
Be strategic. And don't be afraid to explore how BIM can transform your business.
You know what I think is really interesting
What's that?
is how BIM is starting to blur the lines between design construction and even facility management.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we're seeing this convergence where data from the BIM model can be used to manage buildings more efficiently
Okay.
throughout their entire life cycle.
It's not just about building something new.
Right.
It's about managing and maintaining what we already have.
That's a great point.
Yeah,
That's something to keep an eye on.
that's really cool. We've covered a lot of ground today.
We have.
What do you think about the potential of BIM for small businesses?
Yeah.
Let us know.
Yeah, we'd love to hear your thoughts.
We'd love to hear your thoughts. And if you want to dive deeper into this topic, we've got links to some great resources in the show notes.
Check him out.
Check them out. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of BIM.
Until next time.
Until next time.